can you see yourself doing anything else? And, you know, if you had done, you know, if your life had taken another turn like Lance's, and, you know, cycling would be different, but, you know, how would your life be different? Or is there something you think that if you weren't involved in cycling from the get-go, and or even after your career that you didn't go into, you know, commentary, that you would like to do? Is there another passion?
Yeah, I like mountain climbing. I think that mountain climbing would be similar. It's not it's more, it seems to me anyways, I mean, there's, you know, it's not a race to the top of the mountain per se. Like the Tour is like really competitive. Like everything that you achieve, you race against 190 guys for. Like even if it's to go to the bathroom or get the first plate of spaghetti, like everything you do is a race. But, you know, mountaineering and climbing mountains and being self-reliant, I think I would have probably, you know, growing up in Northern California is a big climbing community in Yosemite, and a lot of the places that I was sort of gravitated towards were outdoor shops and mountain climbing stores. And I would read the books and I would look at the equipment. And when I started getting into cycling, I started dreaming about spending, you know, days and weeks climbing mountains. And I think that's probably the direction I would have headed. But cycling was more, it was more versatile. I could do more things, and I was more self-sufficient through cycling than anything that I could have. But if I had never been exposed to it, I think, I don't know, get a job, be a mountain climber in my spare time.
You talk about climbing mountains and, you know, being a part of Andy's epic Giro, but, you know, I don't think the mountains were your best friends throughout the years. But, you know,
I was a little bit, you know, I was way too big to be a climber. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and not quite fast enough to be a sprinter. So,
but what was Paris-Roubaix? I mean, there's some epic stories and photos of you from Paris-Roubaix. I mean, what is? And they try and cover it with different camera angles now, and, you know, current day, you know, television coverage. But it's still, you know, it's still challenging to describe it. I mean, I had the opportunity to ride it in 07 with some of the Discovery guys a few days before, and that was just I try and explain it to people, and it's unbelievable. But to race it, I mean, I was just hanging on, you know, for dear life. But to race it with no helmet,
I know.
You know?
Yeah. In the day, we weren't required to wear helmets, so I was like, I don't know, I was a total idiot about it, basically. I mean, I can't imagine. Now everybody wears a helmet every time, so it's a much better, and the helmets have improved technologically by leaps and bounds since then. But still, in Paris-Roubaix and most of the hard European races, there's room for 3 guys.
Across.
There's literally the ideal place in each, like, strategic point of the race. There's room for 3 people, but there's 200 guys fighting for those 3 spots. And you can't imagine the war for those 3 spots to get into those 3 positions. And you're talking about roads that are barely as wide as my shoulders. So you're trying to cram 200 maniacs in the space that only 2 or 3 men should be. And so,
and that's if it's a good road. And then you get on the cobbles.
And that's before you get to the cobbles. So then, once you get to the cobbles, the guys that are fast on the cobbles, they're just going so fast. It's unbelievable. The speed, they're going, we probably have a battle position for 20 kilometers before the big cobble sections. So you have a war for 20 Ks, and you're going 55, 60, sometimes 65 kilometers an hour. And the best guys are going across the cobbles at 55 kilometers an hour. It's just astounding. And that race is unique. It's one of the most beautiful spectacles. It's a race that hasn't really changed in 100 years that they've had it, 120 years that they've been competing in that race.
Did you ever race and not crash at least once?
No, I never. I think almost every guy, you know, most races, you cannot make any mistakes and win. You can make a mistake, have a flat or a crash, and get second or third. But Paris-Roubaix is the one race that mistakes are so common. You can have a flat, you can have a crash, and still win, because it's so dangerous that those misfortunes befall everybody during the event, and to pick yourself up. And guys have lost Paris-Roubaix because they got a flat tire at the wrong moment.
Sure.
A lot of guys. Yeah. That happens every year. So it's just an amazing event, and it's one of the ones that I was a little bit better at than the mountain stages.
Yeah.
Which was definitely not my forte. So bike racing is unique in that almost every physiological type can find one form or another that you excel at. And that's what kept me in the sport. And our team was kind of geared towards the stage races. And the teams that win the classics, they are totally dedicated to one guy's chance in those monumental races. A team like Quick-Step, the whole team works for Tom Bonin throughout the race, and he's won. Yeah. But our team was not really geared up for that, for the classics. For the Giro and the Tour it was. But Motorola started changing a little bit and becoming more competitive, and became a classics team. And Lance won classics when he was on that team. So it's interesting how, we started out with some goals, and depending on the talent of the riders involved, kind of changed the course of the team over the years. And the tour is the one bike race that everybody pays attention to. And I think that Americans have been a big part of the development recently, and the worldwide popularity of the event. Without Lance, people all over the world would never have heard of the tour.